¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome. Cosmic Seeking, how's it going? Echo Wrestle Dragon, welcome. What is a bank holiday? I don't know what that is. We don't have that, I think. My phone is saying it's 74 degrees outside. Nice. Very nice. It is currently a cool 64, supposedly. It feels pretty chilly. Oh, a public holiday? Oh. Well, not here. Not here because I had to work. All right, folks. We do got a few things to go through. Did you do the intro videos? What intro videos? Like the things that always pop up at the beginning of the stream, the countdown? No, those are all from a friend. Those are all from a friend. I did not make any of that. Nor is that any of my music. That came from a friend. And the ending song is another friend's music that I used to also play in their band. Coincidentally, that is one of my favorite songs from that band. So that's just kind of how that happens, how that happened to come together. Very creative. Thank you. They definitely are very creative folks. That's true. All right, folks. We've got to get this show on the road. Alia with the 12 biddies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. All right. Let's get into it. Blind look, blind view, I guess. Let's see what our old pal Shapiro is up to.
Well, I mean, that seems like a reason why you might own this stuff is to remember the things that you hate. That's it.
Conservative.
Oh man. Okay. Whoo boy. So for those of you who don't know, this is, I believe, in reference to a kind of tangent to the corruption story of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. So as we went over this story, it was found that this dude is getting free luxury resort vacations every year from a super mega donor, and apparently that's not a conflict of interest, or that's not corruption, but okay. He's being gifted all of these lavish, extravagant vacations that were not reported. And apparently, this conservative mega donor, this Republican mega donor, also apparently has a lot of like Hitler memorabilia, and not like Hitler memorabilia that you have like in a museum or something like that. No, this seems more like a way of it seemed like like adulation, and I mean, of course, and immediately Ben Shapiro apparently decides to jump on that grenade by saying maybe he's keeping it as a way to remember what you hate. Okay. So Thomas couple did not conserve their gifts or reduce them? No. Not at all.
Propagandist Ben Shapiro may have just made the dumbest argument that he has ever made. But there is a bit of competition here.
Zazie,
so I'm
thank you
going
for
to
the
show
follow.
you another clip one from his past, another Ben Shapiro classic, and I want you to decide which one is dumber.
I mean, quite frankly, like any time that, an opportunity comes up to dunk on Ben Shapiro, I think it's like a moral obligation to do so.
But this one from today, look, dumb may be the wrong word because he is paid to do a certain job. Ben Shapiro must understand that what he argues here is completely ridiculous, but
I mean, of course, he knows. He knows what he's doing, okay?
is making the argument because he is paid to make this kind of argument. So before I show you the clip, you have to have proper context to understand what the hell is going on here. So this is all stemming from this massive story that released last week from ProPublica. For over 20 years, Clarence Thomas has been treated to luxury vacations by billionaire Republican donor Harlan Crow.
Yeah, so that's the story that we went through. Okay, so he's laying it out for us, and it seems like it seems like this is exactly where it's going. Ben Shapiro is literally attempting to jump on this grenade by saying, by saying that the reason why he had that on display in the way that he did was to quote unquote remember what you. Yeah, okay, dude, sure. How the right-wing machine pundits and their propaganda spin it this time? Yeah, they're spinning it as, oh, it's just a reminder. It's just like a reminder of history. Yeah, okay, dudes.
So conservative Justice Clarence Thomas has basically been best buds with this billionaire, taking him on all these trips, clearly influencing him or putting him in situations with other people, other very powerful individuals who are influencing him. And none of this has been disclosed. So briefly on this story.
Yeah, like the problem here is like none of this was reported when it was supposed to be reported. So this is like clear-cut corruption of the highest order. Like unambiguous. Like no there's no like way of misinterpreting this. It's just clear-cut corruption. Dude has been treated to lavish vacations and whatnot for 20 years apparently, and didn't disclose any of it. And you're telling me that doesn't influence? And like also some of these like resorts and vacations just happen to also have a lot of like high profile conservative donors and whatnot, and people in position of influence. You're telling me that none of that is coincidental? What do you want me to do about it? I want you to be aware, and I want you to know that this is what happens when Republicans win elections. I mean, like, this is clear cut. This is clear cut corruption, and I think it's important to talk about it. The Nazi gifts of statues of art cannot have videotape. I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was taught everything in school. Well, at least what happened in WW2.
For more than 2 decades, Thomas has accepted luxury trips virtually every year from the Dallas businessman without disclosing them. Documents and interviews show a public servant who has a salary of $285,000 has vacationed on Crow's super yacht around the globe. He flies on Crow's Bombardier Global 5000 jet. He has gone with Crow to the Bohemian Grove, the exclusive California all-male retreat, and to Crow's sprawling ranch in East Texas. And Thomas typically spends about a week every summer at Crow's private resort in the Adirondacks. The extent and frequency of Crow's apparent gifts to Thomas have no known precedent in the modern history of the U.S. Supreme Court. These trips appeared nowhere on Thomas's financial disclosures. His failure to report the flights appears to violate a law passed after Watergate that requires justices, judges, and members of Congress and federal officials to disclose most gifts, 2 ethics law experts said. He also should have disclosed his trips on the yacht, these experts said. So, there are already discussions about talks of trying to impeach Justice Clarence Thomas. Is that going to happen? Not
No,
with the current makeup of
probably, most likely not. In no way is this guy going to see any type of accountability whatsoever.
Congress. But regardless, this is clearly a violation of the laws that are on the books. These people act with impunity. And extending from this story, this came out over the weekend. Clarence Thomas's billionaire buddy has a vast collection of Hitler paintings, Nazi memorabilia. So, yeah. The Washingtonian on Friday resurfaced a 2014 article by the Dallas Morning News where a tour of Crow's Dallas area mansion revealed the billionaire's historical collection includes a startling amount of Nazi memorabilia, including a copy of Mein Kampf signed by the author himself, a pair of the failed artist.
Wait, whoa, hey, hold on, whoa. Stop the presses. A copy of Mein Kampf signed by the author himself. Who do you think the author is? Oh my god. Yeah, I would have put that it was signed by Hitler himself. I mean, like, why would you have that? Okay. Might have summed it up, or was it Dollemore? Anyways, there has been an impeached Supreme Court judge before, but he kept his job. Yeah, because it's not just a matter of impeachment. It's a matter of impeachment, and then the Senate has to convict, right? Because it's a two-part process. The House does like the impeachment. The House votes on the impeachment, then sends it over to the Senate, and the Senate then votes on whether or not they convict, so to speak.
Landscape paintings, Nazi medallions, swastika embossed linens, and more. So, why would you be collecting these things and displaying them in your home if you weren't a Nazi? Well, Ben Shapiro has an argument. It's an argument, but it.
The only acceptable reason for having Nazi shit is because your grandfather took it as spoils of war and you don't display that shit. True. Because it's history? Nah, bro. Nah. Sorry. Nah. I'm pretty well versed in history, and none of that involved me owning like a bunch of this shit. So we burn books now because we... Wait, who's talking about books? Are you okay? Are you okay? Who's talking about burning books? What do you... Are you okay? Are you okay? Hey, slow down. Take a breath. Take a breath, buddy. Are you okay? Listen, nobody's talked about burning books. Those words have never been uttered by me. Where does it go then, the book in that article? In a museum, or I don't know, somewhere that it doesn't have to belong in a way where it seems like it's put on display for a reason. His house, his private home, isn't a museum, or there's no like historical like attempt to be a display piece for knowledge or anything like that. I'd wipe my ass with it. Nice. That's probably a better use for it, to be quite frank. You seem very defensive, friend Ectomir. Are you okay? You seem very defensive of like Nazi paraphernalia. You seem very defensive of that.
It's not really a bright one, but here is his defense of Harlan Crow.
And apparently he's a very, very bad man.
I mean, yes, because of his corruption, but those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Cool, dude. That's why we learn history. Nobody's talking about forgetting. Nobody's talking about forgetting what happened in Nazi Germany. You don't learn about Hitler anymore. It's being banned. All right, dude. True. Listen, source will get the fuck out. It's very simple. It's very simple. Either you provide a source of where of that happening, or get the fuck out. Come on, send me it. It has to be in DMs because I don't allow. You just got out of school. You should know. Fuck off. Knowing history and collecting memorabilia are not the same thing. Exactly. Imagine being so defensive over like Nazi paraphernalia or memorabilia, whatever. Sorry, I'm not using the right word. And then conflating this idea with like, oh, now nothing of Nazi Germany exists. It's not being taught. Bro, are you serious? Where do you think I learned about this? Where do you think I learned about this? Hello, person who has been banned from a bunch of places. Hey, Ratkin, autographed copies have to exist. I'm curious how many are still around. I don't know. Why can't the DOJ arrest and charge Thomas? Because I'm not quite sure how the laws and systems regarding that work. Because like it seems to me the problem here is mostly of just corruption, right? It's mostly like corruption. Like when you have let's say, I don't know, like these very big special interest lobbies, they technically are very legal, but influence politicians, and politicians get corrupted by that. It's completely legal. No one is above the law. I don't think I ever said that either. I'm saying what the simulacra is saying. This is obvious corruption of the highest order. Whether or not he broke like a literal law, I don't know.
You're not allowed to be friends with Justice Thomas because apparently
SCOTUS justices kind of are above the law. The only real accountability for them is Congress to impeach and remove them. I saw the Midas Touch version of this video. Gotcha. Welcome to Maple Leaf Dragon. I bet he did not declare it on his taxes. I don't even know. Why would you need to declare that on your tax? I don't know. It might be possible that he violated some weird like financial shit. I don't know. That's the thing. Like it's different with it's different with Donald Trump because like you can trace okay, like he engaged in a bunch of business fraud because he took money from campaign funds and funneled it. Like you can trace that, and there's like very clear laws that govern that. So we can point to that, but I don't know exactly what the legal framework is here. We should be able to vote for the Supreme Court like they did in Wisconsin. Yep. It would definitely be better than have them appointed. There's no code of office. The Supreme Court isn't tied by any ethical code. You can't break anything that doesn't exist. The Supreme Court doesn't technically have a code of ethics. The only way you could get rid of them is by impeaching them and then removing them. In 2020, Amazon banned sales of new and secondhand copies of Mein Kampf and several other Nazi publications on its platform. It's a gift of goods in value over $400 dollars, maybe. I don't know. It's possible that he might be violating some financial shit. I don't know.
They're now accusing him, I'm not kidding you, of being like a Nazi. The reason
I mean, yeah, dude. Yeah, it's kind of suspect that you have all that like Nazi memorabilia kind of just being displayed like it's all good. I would think it was treason. Well, no, treason is different.
is because this is what Nazis do. They make friends with Clarence Thomas. That Nazis, famous for loving black people. That this is what,
I mean, they're famous for wanting power. They're famous for wanting power and having one of the Supreme Court justices who can influence decisions. Because he's a mega donor, he doesn't just influence the one single Supreme Court justice. He's a billionaire. He influences other Republican politicians too, as per the article that he's referencing in ProPublica. And the fact that this guy is still hung up on that, and not just also on the fact, like, I bet that Ben Shapiro never even talked about, like, the massive corruption.
one of the things they're most famous for. So Kevin Cruz, who is just a ridiculous human being, a pseudo-academic over a
Yeah, dude. A ridiculous human being. What is it? Pot calling the kettle black much?
Princeton University, who has somehow avoided plagiarism charges that have gotten him kicked out of the university. He tweeted out, "I've spent decades of my life researching and writing about white supremacists, and no, I don't have any paintings or statues of them in my house because that's not something you do with the people you hate." What's he talking about there? Well, apparently, Harlan Crow collects basically memorabilia from defunct communist and Nazi states, and he has a garden in which he displays these things to show what the capitalistic free market and Judeo-Christian ethic has overcome.
What? Damn, dude. The amount of, like, mental gymnastics necessary, dude. Wild. These are Olympic levels of mental gymnastics that have to run through this. Don't ban me. I mean, don't give me a reason to. Don't be like the other person. I don't know. Seems pretty easy
Apparently,
to me.
this now means you're a fan of these things.
Yes, that's what collecting memorabilia means. Yes.
So, if you own a piece of memorabilia from an evil regime, in order to demonstrate to your children, so that people remember for the future what that evil regime was, this means you're now a fan of that thing, according to Kevin Cruz.
Or you can teach them what happened. Yes. You can teach them what happened. We have history books. Okay. Yeah, dude, listen, you know what? Because this dude who's private, so it's supposed to be like a private memorabilia, because a private memorabilia adulating, like, essentially, like, Hitler paintings and all this other shit, Nazi shit. So because that does, like, let's say tomorrow that didn't exist, so we no longer know about what happened in Nazi Germany. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And anyways, how do people who don't have a collection of Nazi memorabilia teach their kids? In school. In school. You teach history in school. You don't need, and this is true, you don't need, like, fucking a whole bunch of, like, private memorabilia to teach your kids about Nazism. What are you talking about? Judeo-Christian is such a meaningless term. It's basically Abrahamic, but not Islam. Yep. Did the money the crowd spent go to charity for this Nazi stuff? No. I don't know. Not Black history? I don't know what you're talking about. We teach Black history in school. We do like, I don't know. At least I learned a little bit about history.
This is the actual...
And this was in Florida, by the way. I got my education in Florida, and I still learned about all this shit.
thing they're going for. According to the Washingtonian, when Republican megadonor Harlan Crow isn't lavishing Justice Thomas with free trips on his private plane and yacht.
Which is true. So, Ben, why is that like not a problem? Wait. Is that not a problem? Is that like the flagrant corruption not a problem to you, Ben?
He lives a quiet life in Dallas among his historical collections. These collections include Hitler artifacts, 2 of his paintings of European cityscapes, a signed copy of Mein Kampf, assorted Nazi memorabilia, plus a garden full of...
That's what museums are. Anyone with a personal collection of Auschwitz memorabilia? No. No. But you're 100% correct. That's exactly what I said, actually. You did not come under DeSantis. Yeah, but... listen, before DeSantis, there was definitely a Republican governor before him. And I actually, I definitely, when I went under school, when I was in school in Florida, there was a Republican governor during my time at education. But anyways, this is not relevant to the point. My point being is that Florida hasn't exactly been known to have one of the, better educations. We rank pretty low. Okay? We consistently rank pretty low. So even back in my time, our education was not great. And yet I, still learned about this stuff. You speak faster than I type something. Yeah, yeah, true. There's always a delay in chat, so it always feels that way. It's not much, but there's always a delay, so I get the edge. I apologize. I typed where to find accurate history on Nazis on Bing, over 25 listings. I mean, yeah, there's museums, there's classrooms. FSU, I don't know, dude. I don't.
Statues of the 20th century's worst despots. He said that he's filled his property with these mementos.
It's your channel, true.
Because he hates communism and fascism. Well, I mean, that seems like a reason why you might own this stuff is to remember the things that you hate.
Oh yeah, dude, true. True. Every leftist every leftist needs their personal Nazi memorabilia to remember what you hate. Like, what? Yeah, dude. Next weekend, I will give the stream a personal tour of my Nazi memorabilia to remember, to remember to remember what we're fighting against. Because you can't forget with all the Nazi memorabilia. I would just forget, poof, instantly.
That's it. But apparently this makes him a Nazi, and
I love how he has to pause and just kind of take a second to gather himself, because he has literally nothing else. God, this is so pathetic. Do people want to remember history in books or Kindles? Yeah, we've got books, we've got class, True, dude. I actually own a personal slavery memorabilia to remember that that's the stuff that I hate. True. I need my own personal slave memorabilia to not forget. As it's right beside my Nazi memorabilia. It's right beside my Nazi memorabilia, so I don't forget.
And a communist.
Like it's truly
Okay.
laughable. Like, and you can tell like Ben's not serious about this. Okay, Ben's not serious about this. You could tell that he's like kind of forcing himself to make this happen. He's forcing this like complete this complete charade to sell this complete charade. You got the gun Hitler shot himself with. Oh Jesus. You can't forget your Nazi swag. Exactly. There you go. How's it going, Bup Dragon?
Okay, so look, I gotta get to people roasting him online in a bit here because of how stupid this is. Yes, we all collect and display things that we hate so much. Ben Shapiro was purpose.
Yeah, like think about it. Just think about that on its surface too, dude. Hello. What do you think I have on display? What do you think I have on display in my background? I had the little crab rave meme because I think it's funny, not because I hate it. Okay. I have a Bernie Sanders pop figure, not because I hate Bernie Sanders, but to remember, what I'm fighting against. I have a Pokemon card, not because I hate Pokemon. I'm putting it on display because I like Pokemon. The same goes for the cat, the little cat ducky, and the ducky with the beanie, because of course it's a ducky with a beanie. Who wouldn't have that on display? That's awesome. But I don't display these things because I need to remember what to hate. I display these things because I want to display them. That's the whole point. Oh my god. Anyways, if you find a Hitler painting, just burn it. I mean, no loss there. Honestly, no loss. Here's a question. Does Harlan Crow fund the Daily Wire? That's a good freaking question because holy yikes, the Olympic levels of mental gymnastics necessary that Ben Shapiro like barely got through to will that in existence is on another level.
Purposely trying to conflate communism and Nazis here as a way to make it sound like, oh well, he's also showcasing all this communist stuff. No, he has all this Nazi crap. And this makes it very clear that he does not collect it because he wants to remember how much he hates it or whatever the hell the argument is. So this is from
true, dude. You know what? I display my my guitars. I display my guitars, and I have like, other memorabilia of like Power Rangers. Like I have a single pop figure on display on top of a TV. Yeah, dude, trust me. I have that on display to remind myself how much I hate the Power Rangers, even though I used to religiously watch that show as a kid. This is silly. This is silly. Like the fact that we're even sitting here, and this is the take that Ben Shapiro gives us. Wow. From what I understand, he donates to the Koch network. So basically, I mean, yeah. If that's the case, then he kind of does. in a roundabout way, he does then fund the Daily Wire.
Washingtonian. In 2014, when Crow's house was included in a public tour of historic homes, a reporter from the Dallas Morning News visited. Apparently, Crow was visibly uncomfortable with questions about his dictator statues and Hitler memorabilia, preferring to discuss his other historical collections. Documents signed by the likes of...
Yeah, like, why would you be uncomfortable about that? That's kind of weird.
Christopher Columbus and George Washington, paintings by Renoir and Monet, statues of two of Crow's heroes, Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher, which is a whole other problem. But the fact that he visibly uncomfortable and doesn't want to talk about it, if the reason you collected that stuff was because of what Ben said, because he wants to remember that we overcame this, we overcame the Nazis, so here's a giant room of Nazi shit. If that was, then he would be saying that. He would be saying, oh yeah, this is all here because, you know, I think it's important to remember what we overcame, but he didn't do that. He did.
Right. Like, why would you be visibly uncomfortable if your goal was to have some kind of, like, just to be serious for a second, like, you know, a goal, if your goal was to have like a little educational kind of deal where like people can go to your home and be like, hey, you know, what's that about? Well, you know, back in the day, like my family, whatever, like there's an educational opportunity, then fine. But like, why would you be uncomfortable about that if the press shows up and asks you about it, especially since you allowed them to be there? That just seems weird. Yep, just a regular billionaire piece of shit. True.
Didn't want to talk about it. Why would he try to avoid talking about it? Because clearly the reason he collects it is because
he likes it. Yeah, no shit. Like, I mean, that's exactly why I collect, or I have on display, the items that I do. That's why I have on display the items that I do. And if you ask me about them, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you why they're there. Okay? A number of prominent Germans were taken to U.S. after World War II. Yeah, the Operation Paperclip or whatever. Howdy. Guarantee this is one of the most mild examples of actual bribery and corruption in our political system. I mean, this one's pretty bad. I mean, not that it's not the only one, but it's pretty bad how like a super like, you know, mega donor billionaire, Republican billionaire, is literally just like whining and dining a Supreme Court justice. Supposedly one of like the highest echelons of power is the Supreme Court. And the reason why this is so important is because the Supreme Court is supposed to be viewed as an institution that is supposed to be at the very least attempting to be outside of that possibility, right? Because like you actually expect like politicians, elected leaders, presidents, members of Congress, senators, whatever, you expect that kind of to like happen. It's still not good, but you kind of expect that. But with like the judiciary, it's a whole other like ball game. I bet it's actually much worse if we were files on the wall. If we were flies on the wall in all houses of power. Well, I agree with that. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Stinks of rotting fish. Yeah. SCOTUS has always been awful, with the brief 15-year exception of the Warren Cart. I bet it's a lot more direct in many cases. It's this is the old way of bribery, the whining and dining. Now it's, I bet it's straight up quid pro quo. I mean, like a lot of it is, right? You know, a lot of it is. It's called, what is it? Lobbying and campaign funds. Evil right winger, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that.
He's a Nazi. Why else would you be avoiding the question? Come on. So again, I'm going to get to more in a bit here, but I also want to address another point that Ben Shapiro made. So he says here, I'll try to do the Ben voice as best I can.
Right, it's understood. The thing they don't actually need to directly collude. In order for it to be quid pro quo, it's understood, right? Like, exactly. Like, you know, I get lavish vacations, every year on 162-foot yachts and, you know, beautiful private resorts or whatever, and it just so happens to be that I may be or may not be sympathetic when it comes to, when a case heads my way. Maybe.
This is what Nazis do. They make friends with Clarence Thomas. Nazis, famous for loving black people. So Ben's trying to claim here that, oh, if Harlan Crow's a Nazi, then why is he friends with Clarence Thomas, who's a black man?
Yeah, he's not friends with him, bro. He's buying him off with lavish vacations, dude.
Ben Shapiro here playing the identity politics card, interestingly. Yes, Clarence Thomas is black. He's also a powerful conservative justice on the Supreme Court. One of a handful in the entire country. The reason why someone like Harlan Crow is friends with Clarence Thomas clearly is the ability to influence him, to have power over him, to bring him into conversations or groupings with other influential people that have the same worldview that Harlan Crow does. This could not be clearer. So we can go over, you know, of course, I'm sure there are countless cases that we can go over, but here, some of the obvious ones. So back in 2013, the Supreme Court strikes down centerpiece of Voting Rights Act with Clarence Thomas helping to do this. And to be clear on that, so an article came out 7 years later from The Guardian saying the Supreme Court issued one of the most consequential rulings in a generation in a case called Shelby County v. Holder. In a 5-4 vote, the court struck down a formula at the heart of the Voting Rights Act, the landmark 1965 law that required certain states and localities with a history of discrimination against minority voters to get changes cleared by the federal government before they went into effect. It's hard to overstate the significance of this decision. The power of the Voting Rights Act was in the design that the Supreme Court gutted. Discriminatory voting policies could be blocked before they harmed voters. The law placed the burden of proof on government officials to prove why the changes they were seeking were not discriminatory. Now voters who are discriminated against now bear the burden of proving they are disenfranchised. And to be clear on specifics on what this has done since, here are some of the ways voting rights have been stripped since 2013. So you may have heard of many of these. Polling place closures, of course, in specific areas that largely typically impact black voters, interestingly enough. Voter ID laws and proof of citizenship. Other ways that the states have acted to, ensure that.
What? It doesn't bother Thomas. You're under the impression that conservatives have like principles. They don't.
Certain people are able to vote while others don't. This has been, a very, very obvious impact and something that Thomas was integral to making happen.
I was down to talk to my doctor about Rebel's.
Supreme Court's assault on voting rights hits a new low. This is another recent ruling. Ruling throws out Wisconsin's redrawn electoral map, which included a new district to account for black population growth. So again, these are just a handful of examples, but you can go down the list. Clarence Thomas has sided with the Nazis in every single one of his rulings. Now, of course, the obvious one as well. Supreme inequality makes a case that the top U.S. court has widened the wealth gap. So Cohen, in his new book, explores the court's opinions over the past 5 decades and comes to a rueful conclusion. These decisions have greatly exacerbated America's gap between rich and poor. Cohen is a Harvard-educated lawyer, a former member of the New York Times editorial board, and a senior editor for Time. And he wrote several books on American history and politics. So, of course, there's more in this. I linked to all my sources below the video. Always, you can check it out if you want. But this one I don't really have to argue at all, right? Like, you all know this stuff. Of course, the Supreme Court has both helped to disenfranchise black voters while also helping to widen the gap between the rich and the poor. Now let's get to some more roasting about how dumb Ben Shapiro's argument is, and then I'll get to the other classic Ben argument. And
Yes, this is what we're here for, okay?
we will decide, or at least try to decide, which one is dumber. But I also want to mention, yes, that because I just found this interesting. Crow, the billionaire friend of Clarence Thomas, primarily champions and supports Republican cause and legislators, of course, but he's also donated thousands to independent Senator Kyrsten Sinema and Democratic Senator Joe Manchin. So he's also worked to try and disrupt the Democratic agenda from the inside by funding these two clowns. All right, let's get to the roasting. Here's John Wheeler saying, I don't see any statues of Hitler anywhere in Germany, but I can assure you that nobody here has forgotten him. Will Menaker says, I love to fill my home and dazzle my guests with reminders of things I hate. Andrew here is saying, totally normal to collect things you hate. That's why so many Red Sox fans have rooms of Yankees memorabilia.
True.
Alex Singer saying, LOL, wait, they aren't throwing away their beer. Aren't they throwing away their beer and M&Ms? Another great point. So I just covered over the weekend.
Oh, yeah,
all
the beer scandal.
BS around. Bud Light has turned woke. Because
dude.
There's one trans activist that did a sponsored post on...
Yeah, they did a sponsored post. Got one can as like a, I don't know, whatever, thank you or commemoration or whatever. The Bud Light gave them one can. One can. And all these right-wing clowns lost their shit.
On Instagram. And people like Kid Rock, other conservatives were like shooting their beer, throwing all their beer out. They're
Mind you, after buying it, by the way, so Bud Light already got their money. It's clown logic. Absolute clown logic. And hilarious and pathetic. Jesus, the desperation to be like the victims here. Absolute snowflakes.
Bud Light out. If they hate it that much, to Ben's argument, why don't they keep it and drink it?
Yeah, right. Why don't they have like absolute like just complete shrines to this stuff? Complete memorabilia of all like the different cans that Bud Light has ever made. Things like that, because you know they hate it so much they need to be reminded.
Like if they hate Bud Light so much now, then what they should be doing, according to Ben Shapiro, is keeping it in their homes and drinking more of it.
Yeah, and when asked about why you have so much Bud Light memorabilia, just say you don't want to talk about it and move on.
But of course, this argument is so stupid. Last comment here. The shamelessness is breathtaking at times. He's defending a guy who has a signed copy of Mein Kampf, 2 Hitler paintings, personal Hitler artifacts, and is buds with Charles Murray. But since he writes big checks to con organizations, he's going to pretend he's not a Nazi. This is what this all comes down to.
Yes. I just did some basic digging on the Daily Wire. The holdings company, which manages, disappeared into the ether when I hit the brick wall of Capital Corporate Services, a company registered in every state, which basically just exists for the sake of existing. Huh. So if Crow collects things he hates, any tax returns he's owed, any lost court cases, yeah, no, none of this has to make sense. Capital Corporate Services LLC. Yeah. It's annoying it took a C to say it, but Biden and DOJ could straight up just not acknowledge the rulings that are so obviously ridiculous, especially with the recent thing with the Me for President. Yeah, true. But I don't know if they can or I don't know. Justin Jones has been reinstated. Nice. Based.
Ben Shapiro is paid to make arguments this stupid. This is what he does. Can you imagine if liberal justice Sonia Sotomayor, it came out that she was, having all these lavish vacations with this billionaire liberal donor?
Yeah, like that would be all over the place. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh my God, they wouldn't stop talking about this. They wouldn't stop talking. This would be nonstop.
And then it also came out that she had a room of Nazi memorabilia. Do you think Ben Shapiro would be here saying, well, in her defense, she's just collecting things she hates? And, oh, this relationship between Sonia Sotomayor and this billionaire, oh, no big deal. Whatever. It's okay. Of course not. But he's making this argument here to defend this behavior because he likely gets paid by Harlan Crow, or if not him directly, then indirectly gets paid by people who have the exact same worldview that Harlan Crow does.
I mean, Trump, to the Trump administration regularly disregarded court orders and no one did shit about it. True. True. What Biden and progressive states should be doing is filing parallel lawsuits in other judicial districts and then having all the cases consolidated by the judicial panel for multi-district litigation, which would result in the case being taken away from activist Texas judge and assigned to someone else. Yeah, I mean, if that's a route, yeah. I'm sorry if I don't understand like the complete intricacies of how like the legal system would handle that. I mean, if that's a pathway, then yeah, you're right, and I would criticize the Biden administration for not doing that. Yeah, absolutely. I would criticize the Biden administration for not doing that if that's a viable pathway. I don't know like what the ramifications of it is. It's cool. We shouldn't have to care about this stuff, but honestly, the DOJ knows about these techniques. Then it's on the Biden administration. Really, then it's on the Biden DOJ. They're the ones that are dropping the ball, and it's pretty infuriating if that's the case. And so would the AGs of California and New York. Yeah, exactly. Hello, just not to cause a disturbance. Is this more right or left leaning? I don't know, dude. You tell me. I did notice that Shapiro was especially fidgety for this piece. Maybe he still did retain a tiny piece of his soul. Kind of. I made this exact same comment. He looked a little, when he tried to make that defense of like, maybe it's just things that he hates, right? Am I right? Oh man, nah. He performed the necessary Olympic levels of mental gymnastics to will it into existence because that's what he's paid to do, as David Dole pointed out. He knows what he's doing. He knows, Maple. He absolutely knows what he's doing.
This is how places like this is why Daily Wire has so much money. They were founded by billionaires. All these massive conservative organizations. If you ever wonder why their sets are these massive sets and they have actual, cameramen and producers and big studios, it's because they got lots of money. And by the way, they always had those sets. You can go back and watch old Ben Shapiro videos. He's not like in his bedroom shooting videos and then slowly makes it up out of poverty. No, he's from the start. He has had these massive sets because that they've always had money. They have always had money. Whereas I have a green screen. I did a video on Sunday where I was wearing like a shirt with green lettering, and you could see the green lettering. It was all messed up. Like I am years and years and years into doing this stuff. I'm not backed by billionaires. I'm right now. I'm looking at a camera. There is no man behind it. I have no producer. I did the research.
I mean, both parties are mainly led by groups of billionaires. Yes. But that's not the point being put forth here.
The show is me. I am the show. Ben Shapiro, they have an entire massive staff. They have offices downtown. Like, it's all so obvious what they are paid to do. So it's important to not even, like, that's why I have to laugh at this stuff, because you can't take these people seriously. And that's why I call them propagandists, because they're paid to do what they are doing. Whether or not they believe it doesn't even matter. It's the impact that matters. How they
Correct.
use their platform, what they do with that platform is ultimately the only thing that matters when it comes to a public figure like this. Last thing, let's compare. So this is H Bomber Guy, who covered this insane Shapiro video.
Ah!
Play the whole thing because his coverage of it is classic, is amazing. 7 million views on this version alone. I'm sure there's millions and millions more. But you tell me, which argument is dumber?
Here he is, dipping his webbed flippers into the pool of climate change with his signature Shapiro intellect.
So let's say, for the sake of argument, that all of the water levels around the world rise by let's say 5 feet over the next 100 years, say 10 feet by the next 100 years, and it puts all the low-lying areas on the coast underwater, right? Which, let's say all of that happens. You think that people aren't going to just sell their homes and move?
The frustration. I feel it. I love this clip, by the way.
Just one small problem. Sell their houses to who, Ben? King Aquaman?
Yeah.
One of the all-time great YouTube clips right there.
Classic.
Farmer Guy covering Ben Shapiro's insanity. Which argument do you think is dumber?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm biased. I'm biased because, like, I do a lot of, like, you know, climate change stuff. So obviously that's a clip that has always, like, forever, like, ingrained into my head. But this one definitely is up there. This one is definitely up there. Ah, yes, the reason why anyone collects memorabilia is so that they can remember what they hate. You know, people often go around displaying things that they hate. Yeah, dude. Nice. Excellent, flawless logic. I love how it was harder than he thought to break the wall. Yeah. All of us are... Wow, dude. Thank you. Thank you so much for the illuminating comment. Yes. That wasn't the point, though. Thank you, Bipedal. Everyone is biased, but not everyone is honest about their bias. Exactly. I would actually like to see Miami slowly rebuild itself into a floating city. I don't know.
The one where you collect things that you hate to remember how much you hate it? Or that if your home goes underwater, oh, you're just going to sell it. No big deal. Climate change, whatever. I tend to lean towards the this climate change clip just because this has more of a, I don't know, there's more urgency here. This more connection to real life. The argument about collecting things you hate is just, it's really dumb, but in terms of a greater argument that will impact the future of society, I don't think it's as important. That said, they're both stupid. So whatever, it doesn't really matter. Just an absolute freaking clown.
Yeah, that's all you can say is an absolute clown, and understand and look at these people for what they are, propagandists. And he's doing this on purpose. Make no mistakes. He's doing this on purpose. He absolutely knows what he's doing. Introspection and all that shit is a valuable thing. True. If only. Anyways, good memes. Anytime, any chance you have at dunking on Ben Shapiro, it's like a moral obligation. So good on David. Child labor.
Do you have a quick minute to do
What is it on? Oh, I'm going to pass on that.
That's Iowa State Senator Jason Schultz. He's the sponsor of the most dramatic rollback of child labor protections in the nation, even if he doesn't want to talk about it.
No, I'm going to pass on that. I'm just kind of stepping back on it.
Ben Shapiro is low-hanging fruit, to be honest. True, but come on, we gotta have some fun.
I'm going to not get into any conversations. I'm going to stay away from that, although you might find out later why. Oh. There you go. There's your tease.
Senator Schultz is clearly proud of his work, but as our investigation will show you, he's just one part of a shadowy national effort funded by big corporations and PACs to roll back child labor laws that have been in place since the 1930s.
More states are considering changes to child labor laws as they try to fill jobs. Maine and Michigan lowered.
It'd be fun to see some of these propagandists get a hyposphere injection of truth serum just before they go on air. Ha! Gotta make sure he knows that he's no better than a freshman, though. True.
The required age to serve alcohol. New Jersey raised the limit on the number of hours teens can work over the summer. In Minnesota, a new bill would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to work construction jobs. In Iowa, proposed law would let 14 and 15-year-olds work certain jobs in meat packing plants.
The Iowa bill takes child labor law rollbacks to the next level. Think kids in ultra-dangerous meatpacking facilities, high-volume Pepsi bottling plants, and working for cheap on the searing hot ovens of fast food chains.
Why would you oppose child labor? What? Do I even have to like answer the myriad of different problems with child labor? There was a reason it was banned. There was a reason it was banned. Okay. First of all, it's dangerous. Second of all, children should be in school. It's not okay to be a freshman. Oh, really? Oh, well, then that's a fail on my part for not catching that. And they're vacate. No, man. No, vacation is exactly that. Vacation. Why would you want like to raise a generation like ready for like the capitalist fucking hamster wheel ready to go? No, man. Yeah, dude, let's take away their vacation to make them work.
Like McDonald's for 30 plus hours a week. No, for real. Iowa Republicans want to allow kids between the ages of 14 to 17 to work in incredibly dangerous, often deadly workplaces.
Yeah, and like, okay, so now that he mentioned that, part of the legislation that's being introduced in some of that, in some of these states, shield corporations from liability should an injury or accident happen. Do you know why? Because they're fucking kids, and no shit accidents are gonna happen. Okay? The only labor children should be doing are household chores and no homo when they're enough properly. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can teach about work ethics without having them take up, you know, a job. What are you on about? Are you okay? Refik, whatever your name is, are you okay? Jesus
Places
Christ.
like construction sites where more than 5,000 workers died last year. As it's set up now, there would be virtually no restrictions. The job would just have to be part of an education program, something that the company could invent itself. It's true that more than a third of teenagers across the US worked summer jobs in 2021, but serving ice cream isn't exactly the same as working in building demolition. So why would lawmakers put kids who are just finishing middle school into such dangerous situations? Here's what Rep. Deo, the House sponsor of the bill, says.
Right now, kids can be out till 10 o'clock if they're out for a sport or a school activity. And so why are they not able to work until, say, for example, 9 o'clock?
Jesus. Yeah. If it's one thing if they're doing like a school activity or whatever, it's another thing if they're working until 9 o'clock. Furthermore, when the fuck are they gonna do homework? How about study for the next day? Yeah, dude, my core morals are making sure that kids are safe, and my core morals involve making sure that kids are safe and kids are mostly trying to get an education. Yeah, dude. Versus your core morals of putting them in meat packing plants or whatever construction jobs. Yeah, dude. You know what? I think I'm fine with my core morals. Yeah, fuck off, dude. Yeah, cool, dude. Cool story, bro. True, Buff Dragon. Yeah, dude. I see. Thank you for telling me how I see myself. Thank you for telling me how I see myself. You know, this is like the second clown this in the last 2 days who have told me how I feel and how I see myself. Amazing stuff.
An actual expert we spoke to firmly disagreed.
It's a bizarre argument to argue that playing team sports is akin to working in a factory or some other dangerous environment. We like kids not to work more than 20 hours a week because that's kind of a cutoff for damage that's done to them educationally.
Yes, thank you. Somewhat kind of sort of reasonable position, more or less. Like why a child should be even working at all is beyond me, and kind of is a it's kind of a verdict on capitalism where we're ending up in a situation where kids need to work because like why? What kind of dystopic fucking hell world would even like allow this in the first place? Looks like I missed another. Yeah, sorry, Echo Rested Dragon. The circus must have ended early today again. Whew. Like we can't talk about like we can't talk about Nazi shit and child labor without these people coming out of the woodwork, you know?
Okay, so why are lawmakers actually doing this?
The bill was really spearheaded by the Restaurant Association. We sort of came along. We were asked to be, we were invited to come along.
That's Brad Epperly, a lobbyist who works for big corporate clients like the Iowa Grocery Industry Association. He's outright admitting to us that the Iowa Restaurant Association was the driving force behind this bill. They're an affiliate of the National Restaurant Association, a trade group that represents some of the biggest names in fast food, like Burger King and Taco Bell. They also lobby for big corporations like PepsiCo and Cisco. And from one look at their newsletter from this time last year, you can tell they've been hard at work spreading the gospel about the benefits of young labor. The hands-on
Jesus Christ. That's pretty dystopic. Are they getting paid as same as adults? I probably less, if you ask me. On average, probably less. Because that's the point, right? They want cheap labor. So I presume that they're going to get paid less because, it's just a temporary position that, only kids get for when, yeah, whatever. It's excuses to try to exploit labor. Every chud that comes into the exact same tune, just trying their damnedest to carry water for exploiters. Yeah, it's the same BS. Like, wow, dude. Yeah, because my core morals, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. Yeah, ideally, the answer would be yes, Maple. Ideally, in an ideal circumstances, they would want free labor if they could have it. Yes.
Internship at the slaughterhouse is their big priority this year, but we can't give them all the credit. This child labor law rollback originated at a meeting of the Iowa Workforce Development Board, which is overseen by Governor Kim Reynolds. Most of its members are corporate CEOs and lobbyists, and they meet up several times a year to come up with new policies. This bill was a product of a meeting in November. The WDB is chaired by Jay Iverson, executive officer of the Association of Iowa Builders, hence the emphasis on kids using bandsaws on work sites. Lobbyists from the Iowa Association of Business and Industry are well represented on the board, which gives member corporations like John Deere and Google seats at the table. And of course, no race to the bottom would be complete without the Koch-funded Americans for Prosperity and Opportunity Solutions Network, also lobbying on the bill. Given their obvious enthusiasm, we tried to get some of these lobbyists to talk to us about the many benefits of child labor.
Oh yeah, hey, listen.
Pocket hole joinery solution.
Yeah. So damn, I should have waited until this part. Let's see from the real, people on the ground. Let's get some real arguments for the benefits of child labor.
Octus.
Let me hear it.
I'll go ahead and do this.
But they were a bit shy to take credit for their work.
What?
The next part of the bill was clearly
Damn, really? But wait, you didn't ask about their core morals.
written for the Iowa Restaurant Association, Hotel and Lodging Association, and National Bureau of Independent Businesses, the state leaders in low-wage jobs. It would allow 14-year-olds to work in giant freezing meat lockers and raise their mandatory clock-out time from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and then 11 p.m. in the summer.
The research that has been done has found pretty clearly that 20 hours is kind of a cutoff, and when kids work more than that during the school week, their grades start to plummet, and their school completion rate starts to plummet.
Right, and that's kind of the point. That's what these companies want, because what they want at the end of the day is more fuel for the hamster wheel. They don't want children to be in school. They want them to be working for low wages forever. Okay? Preferably undocumented free labor so they can disappear when they get injured. Yep. Or in this case, since they couldn't get that, they just lobby they just lobby for liability protections. Hey, Zeoduke, how's it going? Anyways, that's the point. And just to kind of give a story behind that, it's absolutely true. Even as an adult, meaning in college, the moment I took a completely full-time job, I couldn't do full-time school. You can't do it. You can't it's incredibly hard to do both a full-time job and be a full-time college student. It's very, very difficult. And quite often you end up having to choose, essentially, because you need the money, you need the work. Thank you, Unstage Capitalism. Yep, it's kind of like the way the cookie crumbles.
Many businesses like retail, restaurants, and fast food joints love to hire kids because they'll take a lower paycheck. If they can stay at work even...
Exactly. They'll take a lower paycheck. Been there, done that, and have mental and emotional scars to prove it. Yeah, no thank you. So TLDR, that's... I didn't make it. And in every state I've lived in, you can't get food stamps if you're going to school unless you're working at least 20 hours a week, which of course, if you're, but if you're working a full-time job, then you might make enough to get kicked out of the benefits anyways, depending.
Longer, places like McDonald's, which loves hiring kids, don't even need to worry about hiring adults who can fill those jobs, let alone paying them living wages.
Yeah.
Children's brains are not fully developed, especially that part of the brain that exercises caution, that tells a person that, oh, this is dangerous, I might get hurt. That part of the brain is just not quite there yet.
Yeah, and again, these companies, make no mistake, these companies know that. These fucking ghouls know that. These fucking ghouls know that. That's why they lobbied for liability protections. And like under the guise of trying to solve the worker shortage problem, shut the fuck up. You're not trying to solve that. $20 hours a week is like half. Yeah, it's part-time. Here, this is the same article. In Iowa. Here. Just so that we don't get it twisted, okay? People won't work for peanuts anymore. There's been a resetting of expectation. I don't know. I think that like labor is trying to hold a little bit of leverage, but like, damn. Apparently, quote, no one wants to work. Yeah, no one wants to work at shitty jobs for shitty wages and shitty conditions. Yes, that's true. The Iowa proposal would also expand hours teenagers can work during the school year and would shield businesses from civil liability if a youth worker is sickened, injured, or killed on the job. Yeah, and they know this shit. Yeah, sickened on the job, because if they're working at a meatpacking industry or meatpacking plant, I mean, yeah, it's possible. There's no worker shortage, there's a wage shortage. If people didn't have to take 2.5 jobs just to survive, the country could easily have full employment. Thank you. And mind you, the only people that are pushing this shit are conservatives. The only people that are pushing these bills have all been Republicans. Okay? All the people that are pushing this garbage have all been Republicans, have all been conservatives. Okay?
And it doesn't really fully develop until the early or mid-20s.
The bill would also let 16 and 17-year-olds handle alcohol on the job, which effectively puts them in pubs and bars with intoxicated adults. Consider these all big wins for BlackRock, Vanguard.
Yeah, wait, what? They would want that situation? And like, these are the same people? Because remember, these are Republicans who are proposing this. These are mostly Republicans. Yeah, I bet Manchin and Sinema would be for this if this ever came to like a national debate. Because they're conservative. Yes, especially Manchin. Manchin is pretty conservative. But yeah, like all the Republicans that are putting forth this problem, these laws. Are forgetting one tiny, like these are the same people who are saying like, oh, protect the children and groomers and all this other stuff. Well, dude, you're putting underage children, I wonder why, in situations where they're going to be with intoxicated adults. It's never nice to see the balance shift in that direction. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be, if you ask me, but okay.
Wellington, JP Morgan, Fidelity, those Wall Street titans naturally own big stakes in the multinational food distribution powerhouses Cisco and Performance Food Service, two of the top donors to the Iowa Restaurant Association. Truly the voice of small business.
Ah.
But there's one company that benefits more over any other.
Hy-Vee, where there's a helpful smile.
Oh my God, I'm cringing.
Hy-Vee is one of the biggest employers in Iowa and one of its most prolific violators of child labor law. Every few years, a new report seems to come out about all the minors unlawfully working for them. Since 2000, Hy-Vee has been fined over $700,000 for more than 30 labor law violations, including a big fine last year for safety violations.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it's that ridiculous, dude, why are you still allowed to be operating as a business? This is wild. This is wild. I mean, like, I'm sorry. If you're a company and you get caught for, you know, illegal, like, child labor violations or whatever, I mean, like, where's the line? You shouldn't be allowed to operate your business at some point. We got to say enough is enough. Maybe like a 3 strikes rule kind of deal. If you're found with like 3 child labor violations, your ability to do business as that entity, that company is no longer. And like, yeah, and that's enough. Enough is enough. Yeah, something like that. Like, you're done. Hey, Heat, how's it going? It's always projection every damn time. Yep. What's the say in chat? Every accusation ends up being a confession, folks. Howdy.
But as much as they forked over to OSHA, Hy-Vee has been even more generous to Kim Reynolds. And
they're trying to press for the register of companies to revoke licenses. Yeah, that would be, something to that effect of like, seriously, like, hey man, if you keep violating these things, if workers keep getting hurt after your, like, you know, 10th fucking violation because you couldn't be bothered to fix the safety of whatever your business is, I'm like, my dude, you shouldn't be in business, you know? It should be a privilege that the workers give you. If you catch my drift.
And Iowa Republicans, shelling out over $815,000 over the last decade alone. Reynolds even kicked off her 2018 campaign.
If a 12-year-old can drive $1 million worth of farm equipment, they can work in the meat packing plant. True, get them kids to work.
For governor at a Hy-Vee, and appeared on their
OSHA should be the fucking Dr. Manhattan to businesses. Exactly. But for real. For real.
Talk show.
Hy-Vee is a great example of a phenomenal employer. They're one of our largest employers in the state of Iowa. They're in small communities all across this great state and one of the major employers in these small communities. So very, very grateful to that helpful smile in every aisle.
It's unclear how many kids were working there at the time, but Hy-Vee is just one of many corporations that are now regularly being caught violating child labor law. For a bill pitched as a cure for so-called worker shortages in Iowa, where the minimum wage is still $7.25, and so many other states, the reality is damning. You've seen the headlines, including the huge recent expose in the New York Times about the proliferation of child labor. Since the pandemic began, violations have exploded and were up by 37%.
Very, very grateful for the campaign donations. Exactly.
Packer Sanitation Services, Hyundai Kia in Alabama, Blackstone-owned PSSI, a sanitation company with systemic violations. Instead of cracking down, states are lining up to legalize the practices, 10 over the past 2 years alone. It's much the same story in Arkansas, Ohio, and Wisconsin.
All pushed by Republicans, by the way. These articles, what he's mentioning, we've gone through these articles, folks. We talked about them. when they came out, we talked about them. These are Republicans who are doing this. These are conservatives.
Big donations by big corporations are leading to laws that put kids at risk in order to save a few bucks. The intention is written in plain English. The original version of the Iowa bill called for total corporate immunity if a kid got injured at a dangerous workplace. Lawmakers were forced to scrub that last part, but employers will still avoid liability if a kid gets into an accident while driving home after working late into the night. Exploit a kid's cheap labor, then send them packing, and no responsibility when there are consequences. It should go without saying, but such a
Yeah, and like, are you serious? So wait, so we just admit that like obviously kids, because they're fucking kids, don't exactly have that prefrontal cortex developed. That happens, as the guy earlier said, usually early to mid 20s. And not only are you putting them through an entire day of school, but then you're putting them through the shift of their job at a checks notes meatpacking industry, and then you like manage to worm your way out of any civil liabilities if they get hurt, getting home at 9 o'clock after all their shift, and in during summer 11 o'clock. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I bet they have to carve like out exemptions for like the permits for you to be able to drive to your corporate or to your feudal overlord's meatpacking plant.
A textbook example of corporate greed and corruption shouldn't qualify as educational experience.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff. In practice, they probably won't be going to school. They'll be undocumented migrant children. Yeah, the violations probably, if I were to take a guess. Yeah. But also true. True. Sadly, we all know that that's exactly how it is. It was fun. See you soon. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. We'll have to confirm this, but it seems like Ben Shapiro also kind of failed to mention the fact that while it's true that this guy had memorabilia or artifacts from communism, the artifacts from communism were in his Garden of Evil. The Nazi memorabilia was in a different place in his house. Which would make a little bit more sense given like the rest of the context that we've been hearing. But if this is true, if this is true, why Ben Shapiro? I mean, is a paycheck like that big? Is the paycheck that big that you felt the need to like seriously? Because like this is a massive difference from what Ben Shapiro was saying to what this person is claiming. Yeah. It's obviously big enough. I mean, like, yeah, the Nazi memorabilia was in his house. The Garden of Hate had like all the artifacts of communism. She's America's best Christian, you know, really? I don't know who this person is. Oh yeah, there you go. Right there. Anyway, sorry. I just kind of like took a slight detour. Vriani Cosplays, welcome. Ain't no war but class war, true. What's going on? Politics and news and stuff. That's what's going on right now. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Wait, it's true. The Garden of Evil is just a bunch of statues of like communists. Where he keeps his Nazi shit is in his house. God, Ben Shapiro is such a fucking weasel. Oh my god. The thing that triggers me more is like the lies. I fucking hate liars. God. He likes to go out to gardens and smash, and Reagan smashed the, statues. What makes me angry is like, is the lies and attempt of deception. And his audience buys it. His audience literally thinks that he's some kind of good faith intellectual. What a piece of shit. The people I've argued with, like Ben Shapiro, have no problem making things up if it suits them. Yeah. Clearly, they learned it from the master himself. Of just literally making shit up. Oh, 100%. I mean, Michael Knowles was very clear about Dragon. Michael Knowles is completely clear. We all heard him. We all saw what he said. We all read about what he said. He wants to eradicate transgenderism. We all know what that means. It's pretty unambiguous. There's no hiding that. That's scary. Yes. Yes. It is. It should be. So those statues were at Ben Shapiro's home? No. What I'm saying is that, okay, so in case you were like gone, no, Ben Shapiro said that Harlan Crow had statues of both Nazis and like communists in his garden of hate to quote unquote remember the things that you hate. But that's not true. He had statues of communists in the garden of hate, and his Nazi shit was in his home in a nice like in a display because that's what you do. Anyways, I mean, I have to listen to this again.
And apparently he's a very, very bad man. You're not allowed to be friends with Justice Thomas. Because apparently they're now accusing him, I'm not kidding you, of being like a Nazi. The reason is because this is what Nazis do. They make friends with Clarence Thomas. That Nazis, famous for loving black people. That this is one of the things they're most famous for. So Kevin Cruz, who is just a ridiculous human being, a pseudo-academic over at Princeton University who has somehow avoided plagiarism charges that have gotten him kicked out of the university, he tweeted out, I've spent decades of my life researching and writing about white supremacists, and no, I don't have any paintings or statues of them in my house because that's not something you do with the people you hate. What's he talking about there? Well, apparently, Harlan Crow collects basically memorabilia from defunct communist and Nazi states, and he has a garden in which he displays these things.
Okay, well, yeah, so no. He just outright lied about this shit. No. That's not exactly how that goes. It's very different. A very different characterization of what Ben Shapiro's talking about. All right, cool. I just wanted to make sure because like I said, the thing that triggers me is lies. Is lies and misrepresentation. And he did both. Anywho. Yep, that's true, Bree. Alright, anyways. Just to go over some of this really quickly. Currently, there's a strike. 3 unions representing 9,000 Rutgers University faculty and staff went on strike on Monday after nearly a year of gridlock contract negotiations, marking the first educator strike in the university's nearly 257-year-old history. Of course, our favorite senator, Senator Bernard Sanders, of course, supports the workers here. Union members formed picket lines on Rutgers' 3 main campuses. to demand salary increases, improved job security for adjunct faculty, and guaranteed funding for graduate students, among other requests. Nice. Heat gets it. Shapiro has a religious background that should be anti-Nazi. I mean, it doesn't matter. Everybody should be anti-Nazi. But yes, Ben Shapiro is Jewish. And he's basically jumping on this grenade. As a gay white dude, I understand my privilege and shitty job. We've been doing it, supporting the trans community, and especially BIPOC trans community. I'm only 33, and mofos older than me don't even know shit about Stonewall. Sheesh. When dollar collapse? Tomorrow. The closest to our learning and the university's mission to teaching, research, and service deserve more than merely to be surviving and scraping by, said Rutgers master's student Michelle O'Malley said during the virtual town hall Sunday night. Union leaders expect the action to halt instruction and non-critical research as clinicians, universities, health facilities. As clinicians at the university's health facilities will continue to perform patient care duties and critical research while curbing voluntary work. Still, the university insists classes are expected to proceed as normal. Its spokesperson Dory Devlin told CNN on Sunday night the university is opening and operating. Classes are proceeding on normal schedule. Are majority blacks? What? Still woke leftists? Dude, I don't think you understand. All of them are woke leftist, Marxist, communist, adrenochrome drinking Democrat run. I don't know, dude. Whatever. You're boring. Okay, if you're gonna come troll here, like, at least make it entertaining, okay? Better spend all your money tonight on ADT merch? True. That's how everybody should be spending their money. True. I'd be a bad mod. I'd have a ban before you got a chance to F with them. I mean, like, generally, it just depends. Generally, it just depends. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you got to keep the train going. Sometimes it's okay to kind of, like, mess around. It just depends. But yeah, I mean, like, sometimes even just responding will make them go away. Showing that this is not the place to troll. They came to the wrong place if they're coming to troll. Sometimes they'll just leave on their own volition. But sometimes you need to show them the door. Sometimes Posadabot does that for you. Who knows? Anyways. In guidelines posted in a case of a strike, the university advised students to continue to attend class and complete assignments as normal. It also stressed it's the university's expectation that all faculty and staff continue to report to work in order to fulfill their job duty and responsibility. That's not the point of the strike. What? Whatever. Anyways, it's unclear how the strike at Rutgers will last. The university said it may seek a court injunction to end the strike and compel a return to normal activities, but they just said that everything was operating as normal. Anyways, teachers and professors deserve more pay. And it's wild how expensive tuitions are to have teachers and college professors on like poverty wages. what percentage of savings to hold in Bitcoin, dude? For you specifically, all of them. For you specifically, all of them. This is not financial advice. Yeah, for you specifically, all of them. Gotta go, my friend. Much love to you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate it. But everything you have it is financial advice from me. That's funny. If I have the time, I'd get chuds to dig their own hole into embarrassment, stand at the edge and keep yelling, is it deep enough yet? Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes we can kind of toy around with that idea. Sometimes it's just like, look, bro, we got news to do, okay? Anyway, strike is going on. If only we had a national energy for this. If only. This one, this story doesn't need much covering. So Biden says on, cable TV, he does plan on running. He just hasn't announced yet. So what we can assess from this is that it is most likely the case that Joe Biden's going to run. And that's it. He just hasn't announced it officially yet. Yeah, sometimes you gotta really watch out. Like the sea lions. You gotta be careful with those. They'll hijack, the stream. So not much to say other than he plans to run. The assumption is that he will. So who knows when he'll officially announce. Joe Biden is the most American president ever. I love him. True, dude. DeSantis wants to eliminate in-state college tuition for undocumented students and beneficiaries of the Obama-era DACA program. Yep. Nice one, dude. As part of Florida Governor's DeSantis' extensive immigration reform, undocumented students could lose access to in-state tuition rates. I'm a 15-year-old veteran of call center customer support, serving mostly southern states. I'm very sympathetic to that. Take a wild guess at what I do, customer service. And take a wild guess as to where the majority of our calls come from. Yeah. Anywho, legislation would repeal a 2014 law that gave undocumented students and beneficiaries of the Obama-era Deferred Action Childhood Arrival Program, DACA, which protects those who came as children from deportation, access to in-state tuition. Like, this dude is just fucking cruel, man. This dude's just a piece of shit. Like, this was enacted, by the way, by like one of the biggest ghouls in Florida. Rick Scott, one of the biggest ghouls in Florida, Republican Senator Rick Scott. And this guy is such an asshole that he needs to take it a step and say, nah, fuck him. This immigration package would also make it a felony to shelter or transport an undocumented immigrant in the state, invalidate out-of-state driver's licenses, because fuck you, and also require hospitals to ask patients about their immigration status to report to the state. Ah, yeah, dude, the party of small government. The party of small government. Damn, dude. This guy's a piece of shit. Seriously. The legislation would be he's made his own little fascist state. Oh yeah, no, this guy is very dangerous. Make no mistake. Don't let his lack of charisma, don't let his like kind of the way he expresses himself, he comes off as like very stupid. Because he says and has the mannerisms of his daddy, you know. He tries to mimic that, but make no mistake. Make no mistake about this guy. Yes, exactly. He would be terrifying as a president. Yes. And he's smart. He was a yes, exactly. He was ex-military. Make no mistake. This guy is very smart and knows what the fuck he's doing, and he's incredibly dangerous. Do not underestimate this guy. Had there, you know, maybe been a scenario where Trump was in this picture, or maybe next time, 2028, because he's still relatively young, 2028, oh yeah, this guy is the guy. Not this election, because right now Trump's still in the picture, but he is incredibly dangerous. Make no mistake about it. If I believed in any of that shit, he might actually be the Antichrist. True. Well, who's the one that said that like fascism will come to the U.S. wrapped in a flag and carrying a Bible or some shit? God, I forget who said that. Well, yeah. I mean, there you go. The legislation would be one of the toughest immigration measures proposed in over a decade and is expected to pass within weeks, the New York Times reported. Sinclair Lewis, thank you. The New York Times reported the Florida governor first announced these sweeping proposals in February as a way to fight Biden's border crisis. Dude, true, bro, true. Thank you, Governor DeSantis. Solving problems that don't exist. Ah, yes, bro. You know what fights the Biden border crisis? Yeah, dude. Making hospitals determine whether or not you have like a legal immigration status or not. Or raising tuition rates for college kids. Yeah, dude. Raising tuition for college kids? Nice. Really fighting the good fight. Thank you for solving problems that don't exist. Das Empress, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I need to get banned somewhere. You have a clean slate. Enjoy it. With this legislation, Florida is continuing to crack down on smuggling of illegal aliens. True, dude. That's damn, dude. That's such a problem in Florida. Stopping municipalities from issuing ID cards to people here illegally. What? What? If municipalities issue ID cards, how would they be? Okay, whatever. Ensuring that employees are hiring American citizens or those here legally. Oh boy. Trump would like a word. Florida is a law and order state. And we won't turn a blind eye to the dangers of Biden's border crisis. Okay. Didn't some business get raided by ICE? Yes, exactly. Exactly. Colleges are dead. YouTube will educate next engineers. Oh, true, dude. True. That's how education works. You're right. I mean, this is kind of boring, like NPC shit. Do you have like actual like substance to contribute to the conversation, or are you just gonna like spew like random comments? Republicans have super majorities in both the state and the House. The House and Senate legislation could impact 40,000 undocumented higher education students in Florida. Of which a little over 12,000 are DACA eligible. According to data from Higher Ed Immigration Portal. We need to do everything in our power to protect the people of Florida from what's going on at the border. Yeah, dude. Protect people from Florida. Yes, the kids who are trying to get into college, dude. You got to protect them. You got to protect Florida against, education. Like, think about that dynamic for a second. Think about that dynamic for a second. We need to protect kids from Florida, exactly. Protect the people from Florida, what's going on at the border and border crisis. Yeah, dude, big problem. Big problem when, young people are trying to get into college. So obviously the appropriate response is to, raise them for these DACA children, DACA recipients. Tuition fees are a form of taxing the wealthy and should be supported by the left. Wait, what? Tuition fees are a form of taxing the wealthy. In what world? What? Are you okay? That made 0 sense. Taxing the tuition? No, dude. What? Yeah, I know it's it doesn't have to make sense, but Dragon, it doesn't have to make sense. Remember, the fascist must always have this sense of like existential crisis. You have to protect Florida from the border crisis and the brown people and this is like an existential problem. College costs are a method of gatekeeping education or trapping them in debt. Exactly. DeSantis' proposal has garnered pushback from business groups who say the move is not only unfair but could hurt the workforce. Yeah, dude, I wonder why. I wonder why. Why should a poor man pay for rich? Did you not read what Bob Dragon wrote? Why should he just said tax the wealthy? What are you on about? What? It's the exact okay, whatever. Anyways. At a time when we need thousands more educated and there are thousands of jobs vacant, dude, you're just making random comments that make no sense. And I asked you if you had anything like productive to contribute to the conversation, and you obviously don't. All right. At a time when we need thousands more educated and there are thousands of jobs vacant because there aren't enough people to take the jobs, we have young people willing to serve the county, and now there's a proposal to deny them that opportunity. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Cruelty is the point. This existential threat from Biden's border crisis. Yeah, I mean, another one bites dust. Yeah, I mean, they're just low energy. Nothing there. Nothing there. Yeah, it wasn't even trying. They weren't even entertaining. They weren't even making points. Like, nothing to argue against. Nothing there. Like, nothing to even respond to. Alright, this one is, The Iowa Attorney General Office paused its practice for paying for emergency contraception and, in rare case, abortion for victims of sexual assault, a move that drew criticism from some victim advocates. Federal regulations and state law require Iowa to pay many of the expenses for sexual assault victims who seek medical help, such as costs of forensic exams and treatment for sexually transmitted infections. Under the previous Attorney General, Democrat Tom Miller, Iowa's Victim Compensation Fund also paid for Plan B, the so-called morning after pill, as well as other treatments to prevent pregnancy. Yeah. A spokesperson for Republican Attorney General, like, you see the difference, right? You see the difference? This is what happens when Republicans win elections, who defeated Miller's bid for an 11th term, told the Des Moines Register that those payments are now on hold and part of a review of victim services. No, actually, having a well-educated society is pretty important. So, yeah, taxing the rich for college, for higher education, for healthcare, for housing, for food, yeah, it seems to be on the top 4 kind of deal. Yeah. As part of the, actually, that's pretty important, along with healthcare, housing. Yep, exactly. Bottom-up audit of victim assistance. Attorney General Byrd is carefully evaluating whether this is an appropriate use of public funds. Yeah, dude. Let that sink in for a second. Until the review is complete, payments of these pending claims will be delayed. So, yeah. College students are already able to pay their fees if they pursued a worthwhile course. If they didn't, they don't deserve free education. What are you talking about? What are you on about? They don't deserve free. It's not free. It's use of tax revenue. It's use of tax revenue. What is a worthwhile? Where is a worthwhile course? I don't know what that is. That's subjective. Most of the well-educated people I see are complete idiots. I mean, yuppies are rich kids. True. Education is important. Look at the lack of education in Lauren Boebert. Need I say more? True. After everything I say, you guys are like, well, I don't. Yeah, because you're not making sense, dude. First of all, you attempted to say that college tuition is a tax on the rich. That's not true, nor does it make any sense. What do we derive from that? Nothing. And then you finally make a semi-coherent point of attempting to make the argument that you're in favor of taxing the rich for healthcare, housing, and food, not for the benefit of yuppie university kids. To which I say, no, it's a benefit for society if more people have college-level education. Not just the rich people. Everybody. Just because you don't understand doesn't mean it doesn't make sense. No, it just doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. And I'm pointing out that what you said doesn't make sense and why it doesn't make sense. You literally said the opposite of what somebody else said in the comments. Anyways. Byrd's decision comes as access. Everybody's taxed, including the poor. You're redistributing those taxes to people who are most able to pay their debts, college students who use their qualifications to get a good job. Okay, but if you have a college-educated populace, they will also have access to higher-paying jobs. What are you on about? Wouldn't you have better qualifications as a college student because you had access to free college? Then you would have those qualifications? Be honest, you're a college student, want somebody else to pay for everything in your life. Dude, you're like the third person who's told me exactly what I am. Damn, dude, does everybody like know everything about me? No, I'm not a college student. What are you on about? That wants somebody else to pay everything in your life. Like, dude, listen, maybe like you're trying to, impose some projection, But no, dude. How, like, presumptuous. How presumptuous are you to think that you even know a single iota of a random person on the internet, of a random streamer on the internet? The fucking level of narcissism that you must have to even make or even think you can make assumptions like that is wild to me. Student debt holders have plenty of money to pay their debts, just like watching the balance go up and keep... yeah, dude. Excellent analysis. Thank you. Yep. Anywho. Bird's decision comes as access to the most commonly used method of abortion in the U.S. plunged into uncertainty following the conflicting court rulings. On Friday over the legality of the abortion medication mifepristone. For now, the drug the FDA approved in 2000 appeared to remain at least immediately available in the wake of separate rulings issued in quick succession. Yeah, cool. So the difference between, a Democrat, yeah, they might suck, but the difference between, what happens when a Republican wins, actual real life consequences. Just saying. Conservatism, folks. Not even once. All right, folks. It is about 7:30, so I do have to get going. I was going to go over something else, but it's not at the top of the list. Sickle me pink. If you go to the Discord, you'll see the last news article that I posted, but it's not like the end of the world because I couldn't get to it. Sorry, I've been a bit aggro. I blame it on the new meds. I'll try and simmer down. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, we couldn't get through the last article, but it is on the Discord if you want to read it. It's a good meme. Capitalism. Have to catch you earlier. It's 1:26 a.m. here. Jeez. I mean, I think someone called him a bitch last time I came in. You're good. Sickle me pink. The worst case scenario, you can always go to the YouTube or watch the VOD. On the YouTube, you can always watch the VOD. You know, in case you miss it. I don't want you to be up at like 1:30 in the morning trying to watch a stream. Come on, man. Thank you. First of all, thank you for even stopping by. I appreciate that. But yeah, don't lose sleep on account of me. You can always watch the VOD on YouTube. That being said, folks, I do have to get going. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out. Thank you. Thank you guys. If you guys enjoy the content, on your way out, don't forget to hit the like button. Like button. I'm thinking YouTube. The follow button, you get 6 free emotes. If you head on over to the YouTube, hit the big red subscribe. Hit the big red subscribe button. It really does help us out. Spread the word far and wide. We are here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for the follows, biddies, subscriptions, all that awesome stuff. You guys are what makes this channel grow. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. And we'll be back here tomorrow. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. We'll check it out. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Michael Hasser. Thank you, Heat, for keeping the peace. Thank you for hanging out in the chat and watching the chat. I appreciate it. SV Harkin, thank you. It's the Morton. Buff Dragon, thank you. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.